We're at Maida Vale once more. It's kind of like home from home. We've been here a fair few times over the past couple of weeks. And this is a place where magic happens. It's all kind of great musical memories happen here. And today we're in conversation with Wyn and Tim from Arcade Fire. It's very nice to see you. You both look very well and healthy. I don't know why I was expecting you to be on your knees, but you look in a good frame of mind, good shape.
Yeah, we're doing great.
Yeah.
And excited to be playing back in the UK, because you've just done a couple of shows at the Roundhouse. You've also played Glasgow and Blackpool as well.
Yeah, the Roundhouse was amazing. I've always kind of heard about it growing up, and it lived up to its reputation.
Yeah.
It's very round.
It's very round, yeah. And the thing about these shows that you're doing, it's like a party, it's like a carnival. I mean, most of your performances are like that kind of thing. But just explain what people get when they come to these shows, or what they did get when they came to the shows this time around in the UK.
Well, a couple of years ago, Regina and I went to Carnival in Haiti, and Richie met up with us in Trinidad, so we kind of did the Carnival in Haiti is a week before the regular Carnival, so we did 2 Caribbean Carnivals back-to-back, like full overload, and it was a very, I mean, I think there's this idea of kind of like party time, but in Haiti, it's this really complicated, like half art project, half like biblical storytelling, half history lesson, half dancing, half, this. So there's this incredible range of emotion and feeling. It's not just about getting drunk and partying. And so I think we've been trying to see what that would mean in the West, like what it means to
partying a bit deeper.
Yeah, basically, like how do you take something joyful and dancing, but also that's kind of thinking about politics and thinking about life and thinking about death and trying to have an atmosphere that's kind of magical in that way, where you can kind of tell stories but also have fun, and it's like it's kind of like life, trying to like find the balance of what that would feel like.
So how do you do that? What are the shows like? There was a mariachi band, I believe? Yeah,
I mean, it's been different. It's really, we've been trying to suit the shows to where we've been playing. So the show in Brooklyn is very different from a show in London, or we played in Miami at this gay club, and then we played a Haitian Cultural Center, and then we played London, like a warehouse in Brooklyn, and in London we played kind of a venerable
L.A. That's what I was thinking.
Which was in L.A. was
the Palladium.
The Palladium, which is kind of like the Roundhouse.
Yeah,
like a really,
okay.
My grandpa played there back in the
Your grandpa?
Yeah. My grandpa played in a big band back in the day, and so he would have played a lot of these venues when he was touring, like in the 30s and 40s.
Yeah. Is he still around, Grandpa?
No, he passed right when we were making Funeral, actually. Oh, okay. He was a huge influence. Actually, he could probably play an Alvino Ray track on this program. It would be kind of interesting.
Okay.
He's a famous big band guy.
Okay. Say it again. Who's it?
Alvino Ray.
Okay.
Yeah, and the King Sisters is my grandmother.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Is that how they met?
Yeah.
As musicians?
Yeah, they played music together.
Wow.
Yeah.
For many years?
Yeah, from like the 30s to the 80s, basically.
Wow.
Yeah.
So did they see your success? Did they knew you as band?
My grandpa, I mean, would have heard a bunch of the songs, but he passed before we finished Funeral, so he was kind of aware that we were doing the music and everything.
So you can see, see his work continuing, I guess, through you.
Yeah, so in London, we had this mariachi band that had learned Reflector. I kind of had a mask and wandered out and sat down with them, and they didn't know who I was, or no one in the audience really knew who I was, and I sang with them. I asked them I requested Reflector and sang it. And there was like this woman like, hey, can you get out of the way? I'm trying to take a picture. Like she was trying to take a picture of the mariachi band, like behind me. I was wearing like a skeleton mask with like a cigarette in my mouth and like a whiskey, like singing like a mariachi version of Reflector.
And she was just telling you to butt out.
She was like, yeah, it's like, what are you doing? Like, get out of the way. I'm trying to take a picture of this mariachi band.
Did you say anything at all?
No, I just stood there. I looked pretty scary, like, because I was like wearing a hood and had a skull mask on and was just kind of blocking the way.
You've said that you wanted to make an album that Regine could dance to. I love that quote. Do you believe that everybody can dance? Because I can't dance. I read that quote and I was like, I'd love to be able to dance, and when people come to your gigs, and I can see you throwing yourself around on stage and everyone kind of dancing, but...
Well, I try to lead by example of looking as bad as possible while dancing in a public space.
That's a good style. Yeah. Something I can relate to.
Yeah. And I'm just, my whole thing is I can't dance to a song I don't like. So like I can't like go listen to bad house music and lose myself to the beat. Like I kind of need to connect to the song.
That's it. Most of the dancing I've done has been at like house parties or weddings or something. Like going out to dance clubs has never been that appealing.
Okay, so what are the big songs that get you dancing then? Something that will always get you on the dance floor and make you just lose yourself.
I mean, I think my go-to wedding song is probably "Come On, Eileen."
Yeah. That's a good one.
The tempo change.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I think the ones that always get the wedding going.
There's also ones that require certain sort of moves on it. Do you remember that "Oops Upside Your Head"? Do you remember that song? No. Oh my God, that's one of these songs where that is a classic wedding song in the UK, where everyone gets in a row on the floor and they'll do this. They pretend they're rowing a boat.
Okay.
It's the most shameful dance you could possibly ever see doing.
That sounds totally
it's
horrifying.
Like the chicken dance or something.
It's very much like the chicken dance,
but somehow more horrifying.
Yeah.
I can picture it right now. I got chills, not the good kind of chills.
Let's play a track then, something that you've chosen, a song that you do genuinely really like. So what would you like to play?
Let's play I Am the Upsetter, Lee Scratch Perry, because we spent a lot of time in Jamaica on this record, and yeah, that's one of my favorites.
Okay, we'll play it then. This is Lee Scratch Perry. It's Radio 2, and I'm talking to Arcade Fire at the moment. We've got Tim and we've got Win, and that was I Am the Obsessor from Lee Scratch Perry. What do you play in your DJ sets, and when you're DJing? I'm kind of intrigued.
It's a real mix. I mean, I have the demo of Don't Stop Till You Get Enough by Michael Jackson, but like the first version, which is just him like playing a Coke bottle.
God. It's
like this really raw, super raw version of that song that is one of my favorite recordings that anyone's ever made. It starts with him kind of laughing, like he's like, yeah, like kind of laughing and playing the Coke bottle. Just sounds like they're in the back room just playing the song for the first time. It's really, that's one of my favorite recordings.
Yeah, it sounds very special.
Yeah.
And what's more daunting, being in a band on stage or doing the DJing?
DJing is the easiest thing of all time. Playing a playlist off an iPhone is a lot easier than writing and playing songs. I said it.
You said it out there.
It's objectively easier. You get paid so much more.
He's got a big smile on his face.
But people drink a lot more when you're listening to music, so it's all about the bar,
It is ka-ching. That's absolutely what it's about.
And none of those annoying extra musicians.
Yeah, it's just you and the button that you just pressed. That's it. Yeah. Can you remember your first trip to the UK when you came over here with Arcade?
King's College.
Yeah.
King's College, right.
Yeah.
And what was the show like?
It was good. Yeah, it was exciting.
Remember Bjork came? We were really excited about that.
Did you get to speak to her? She came and spoke to her?
No, she had to bail. I mean, she had to kind of leave, but we met her later, but...
But just knowing she was there was a...
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was exciting. First time to London.
And there was quite a buzz about you at the time, or what kind of state was the band in?
The room was full.
The room was full?
Yeah, I mean, the record kind of came out in the US and started to really take off, and we signed... It didn't come out to the UK till like 6 months later, so we basically did the whole thing all over again. Like, we kind of went from clubs to much bigger venues and then kind of did the whole thing all over again. So it made for a long tour.
Yeah. But quite good for you. Good to kind of hone your craft and your practice.
It was incredible. I mean, it was a really exciting time, and just to feel that energy in the UK was really something, just because that it translated, you know what I mean? That because we come here and it's like coming to Japan and you see people having high tea and you're like, where am I? What's happening?
We're quaint, is that what you're saying?
I'm not saying you're quaint. I'm just saying you're peculiar. You're peculiar people.
Have you ever had high tea?
It's lovely.
Scones.
It's lovely to have raw fish for breakfast too. I just find it peculiar.
It is very, very peculiar. Before Arcade Fire, what was there? What were the days, your formative days of making music? What did you both do? Was music always going to be the thing that you got into?
I was always playing music, but I never anticipated being able to play music for a living.
You were in bands quite young.
Yeah, I was playing in bands from like 14 on.
Yeah. I wasn't in bands, but my mom was a harpist, and so I was but she kind of played like a little bit Joni Mitchell style, but on the harp. And my grandfather gave me my first guitar when I was 15, Albino Ray was just one of the great he's called the grandfather of the pedal steel guitar. He led a big band with pedal steel, which is typically a country instrument, but he played these crazy jazz arrangements, and he used something called a sonovox, which was like a vocoder, primitive vocoder. So my grandma would hide off stage, and it was Alvino Rey and his talking guitar. And so he'd do these, this is like in the 30s, like vocoder, fake guitar things. And so that's actually the name of our record imprint is Sonovox, which is named after his, that's the thing he would use. So he was just, it's like basically a speaker without a cone that you hold to your throat.
Yeah.
And you amplify it and send the signal through, and then you voice the sounds with your lips, but your throat resonates from the instrument.
So very revolutionary.
Pretty primitive.
Yeah. If we were going to play something on the show now, what should we play? So it's Alvino Rey. Was that your grandfather's name?
Yeah, actually, we put out a version. There's a song called "My Buddy" that was the B-side of the first 7-inch we did for Funeral. We did a 7-inch of Tunnels, and the B-side was Alvino Rey doing "My Buddy."
Alvino Rey and
that's what the vocoder, and they played that song at his actual funeral. That's part of the reason why we put it on the B-side for Funeral, was that was when the record was called Funeral, was listening to that song at Alvino's funeral.
Wow. The shows that you did, they're so life-affirming. It's like a real life force. I remember seeing you when you did the Brits. You received an award at the Brits, but your performance was you just blew everybody else away. And it seemed like you just seize an opportunity and you just want to make an impact on people. Would that be right?
I mean, whatever the context, you're always trying to connect with people. So sometimes it's more kind of confrontational. Sometimes it's more joyous. Sometimes it really depends on the energy of a room or the energy of a song. And so, yeah, I mean, I think that as a band, we're always trying to connect, and yeah, we want it to be important, or we want to, I don't know.
How do you do that, though? Because everybody must want to be important. Everybody must want to be
it's not
better than
wanting
everyone
to
else.
be important. It's just like we think that there's some cultural value in music and community, and hopefully some kid who comes to a show will do something really great in the world, or whatever, will do something that we'll be inspired by, and just trying to put something kind of good or meaningful in the world.
Because coming to see one of your shows, you can forget about everything else that's going outside of that room in your life when you come and see them. Is that very much in your mind as well, that it's some kind of an escapism for people who have things pretty rough or pretty boring?
I don't know if it's an escapism. I mean, you could call it escapism, but it's almost more like a connecting with part of something that you aren't regularly connected to. I feel like we all put a lot of energy into it that's like deliberate and hard, like. I
mean, I think the Clash are kind of in a way, they're our hero. Like, even not that we sound like the Clash, but almost everyone that we work with, from our booking agent to our manager, all went and saw the Clash when they were 14. Like, our manager got a mohawk from Joe Strummer in the backstage room of a Clash show.
Doesn't get much cooler than that.
But you know what I mean? It's like almost in our booking agent in the States, like, saw them in some like roller skating rink when he was 15, and they all kind of could have done something else, and then decided that music was important or a viable thing. And I think that in a way that's kind of the biggest judge of what you could say if it's something that's been successful or not, is if people are moved to see the world differently, or to think about their own lives differently, or because I mean Radiohead were that band for me, like, where I thought about the world differently after I heard them, or Bjork, or hearing something that gives you tools to just think about your world and think about your relationships and think about things other than that's a catchy tune.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And what was the first Arcade Fire show like? Where did you play and how was it?
That's kind of tricky because it's had so many incarnations. It's hard to say.
It took a while. My first Arcade Fire show was in December of 2002, and it was us opening up for Broken Social Scene. But actually, I saw the band before that, and those were actually really amazing shows. They were like.
Did you ever see us play at the VAV? We used to play at the Concordia Art Building, like for art openings, and we used to play at Richard's old loft before Richard was in the band.
I saw you at a loft down on William Street.
Yeah,
and that was an amazing show.
Was it always theatrical? Has there always been that element to the band shows?
There was something as a person watching it. There was always something like there was something striking about like when I first saw it, we were in this little loft, all sitting on the floor, and Wynn was like towering over everyone there, and then Regine was off, kind of dancing, and it was always a very striking kind of combination. And then everyone in the band too back then too. It was always fun to watch.
Yeah. I would wander around in the crowd with my acoustic a lot.
Yeah.
Because we were always playing rooms that you didn't really need a PA to be heard. So yeah, it would just be the amps, and I'd have an acoustic guitar, and so just being able to be free to like kind of go wherever you want.
It's quite powerful, I'd imagine.
It is powerful, yeah.
Yeah. Talking powerful, the video for Afterlife, that's the one that was directed by Spike Jonze, have I got the right one?
Oh, the live.
For the Google.
That's great.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's live. The thing that I think is maybe hard for people to appreciate is that it's a live song with a live music video being filmed at the same time. We did it one time, and that's what it is, So in that context, I think it's pretty cool. Like it's, we made the arrangement like that, like we got to the awards.
Yeah.
It was a total gong show, like full movie set, camera people everywhere, and Spike's like, how about like strings at the beginning? We're like, okay, strings, play this.
Wow.
Like, it was like trying to just like arrange it immediately.
Really just pounded it out. Yeah.
But with like a million people and doing the rehearsals for the dancers, like, and like we don't even get to sound check. We're just like, okay, you're just on the floor, like, all right, let's just try and make it. So that's pretty cool.
Tell us a little bit about the Bowie involvement, about how he came to be on the track and what it was like working with him, albeit very briefly.
I emailed him. I mean, we'd been kind of in touch just before his record came out, just because we hadn't spoken in a little while, and I was kind of missing him, and so we were emailing a bit. I sent him the song, and because basically we were working on the song, and there's a line in it that's kind of the third person. That most of the song is Regine and I kind of talking to each other, and there's a lyric at the end that says, "Thought you were praying to the resurrector. Turns out I was just a reflector." So it's kind of like this third character talking to us, and thought that he would be perfect for it. And he loved the song, and so he was like, yeah, I'll just come down. We were at Electric Lady Studios in New York, and so he came down. And there was also kind of like this deeper thing to it, because basically the last time he had been to Electric Lady Studios was recording Fame with John Lennon in the basement. It was literally the last time he had been to Electric Lady. And you hear Fame, and you don't just think like, oh, John Lennon, but John Lennon was like in the room, like helping kind of write that song. And so there was this really kind of cool thing where we were having him do this harmony. It was kind of echoing Fame in the same studio where he had done it with John Lennon, and then he was doing it with us. So like there's this kind of like generational thing, kind of art aspect to it that I think that he kind of got off on too a bit.
Yeah. Did he talk about it? Did it kind of?
Well, we didn't talk about it, but I know that we relate to that kind of stuff in the same way. I mean, it's always been less of a thing of direct influence and more just like kind of shared way of thinking about music, because I don't think our music sounds that similar, but I just think that we have a similar way of thinking about art and music and how they interact.
Is that the same for Chris Martin? Because I know that you're friends with him as well.
He was out at the DJ booth with me the other night wearing a skull mask. It was pretty cool. Yeah.
Where was this?
At the Roundhouse.
At the Roundhouse,
yeah.
Okay. So he was DJing with you as well?
He was hype man.
Chris Martin as hype man.
Yeah, he's an amazing hype man.
Did anyone realise at all? Or was he
I don't
just
think
kind of...
so.
Oh, that's good. But again, I think you probably come from similar side of kind of... have similar attitudes to the music that you make and kind of having it as an art form and in terms of your live performances as well.
Right.
And
yeah.
I think he talked about you as being like a sounding board in the past. Is he a sounding board for you?
Everyone in the band are such accomplished producers and musicians that there's so many layers that things have to go through for us to even like them. The idea of having an outside perspective, we can't really handle it.
Okay. Because it's enough
like,
perspectives.
If we like it and it's made it that far, we're like, okay, that's enough. Let's not tempt fate by asking anyone else their opinion.
It's a miracle.
Really long time to even have
it's a miracle
that
it's good enough that all of us like it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Listen, it's been lovely talking to you. Thank you very much indeed.
Yeah.
So the rest of, because your lives must be kind of mapped out now. You're at that stage where it's like, okay, so when it comes to January, we'll be here doing this, and that must be quite scary and quite daunting. But it's kind of part of what you do.
It's kind of daunting, but it's also kind of nice. It's like, oh, January, I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't think of it like that. Yeah. And then your summer next year will be fairly full as well, I guess.
Kind of. I mean, we're total wimps compared to almost every other band on the planet because we put so much into our show that we don't want to be burned out. You don't want to be phoning it in. So if we book a show, it's because we want to be there.
And festivals, when it comes to the UK, we might be seeing some appearances from you there as well.
Yeah, I hope so. It's kind of it's a special experience.
Playing the UK festivals. I look forward to seeing you at some point over the summer then.
Get your wellies ready.
Okay.
I just bought my son a Paddington Bear, his first Paddington Bear the other day.
Your son?
These are wellies. You're going to need them a lot.
You're spending the UK the summer in the UK. How old is he?
Daddy, what are Wellingtons? Well, in some places it rains all summer, and it's a pile of mud. People still have to go outside because it's summertime.
You'll be doing it in wellies, can you imagine?
You could probably live in a welly at this point.
How tiny is he? How old is he?
6 months.
It's huge, actually.
Okay, it's lovely to talk to you. Should we play The Clash?
Yeah.
Okay, what track?
This is Radio Clash.